Hey, I'm Bill DeVille, host of United States of Americana. I'm back from Nashville, Tennessee, where I attended Americana Fest and had a great time. I'm going to tell you about some of the highlights and some of the things that I discovered while I was there. On the first day that I was there, I saw Kelsie Walden, and she was doing a special show at John Prine's office for his Oh Boy Records. She has a new album that's due in early October, and she played some songs. A storm rolled through, so the things were running a little bit late, but she put on a stellar set, and her voice packs a punch. So that was one of my highlights. I didn't get to meet John, but it was kind of funny. He wasn't really there, but then I'm leaving, and a friend of mine was talking to John Prine's wife, and then she hops into a truck. And there he is in the back of the SUV. John Prine was sitting there on a cell phone. So it's kind of like a commitments moment where the band never really got to meet Wilson Pickett. Well, I never got to meet John Prine. So Kelsie Walden was my highlight from the first day of Americana Fest. By day two, I think the highlight for me was the Americana Awards and Honors, which are held at the Ryman every year, and it's always an incredible night. It's kind of a who's who of Americana. John Prine was in the house, and he won an award for his album, which was Best Album of the Year. And there was also a performance. He didn't play a song off of that album. He actually did a duet with Bonnie Raitt on Angel from Montgomery, and that was just incredible, a tune that is as well known by Bonnie Raitt as it is by John Prine, because Bonnie had that wonderful cover, and the live version was just incredible. One of the other highlights was the War and Treaty. They won for Best New Artist, Michael and Tanya Trotter, and Michael gave a powerful speech about PTSD. He was in the service, and it was on 9/11 when the awards were held at the Ryman that night. So that was pretty incredible. Brandi Carlile won an award, and she performed The Mother with the string quartet. That was another highlight, and it was totally off the hook. So I think, the highlight for that second day of Americana Fest was the awards and honors. But there were some other things that happened too. There's this gentleman named Paul Cauthen. He had his Big Velvet Review in East Nashville. Paul Cauthen's kind of a country funk sort of guy, hints of Waylon and Johnny Cash, and has the big smooth voice. That's why they call him Big Velvet. And he also had a lot of guests that night, including this fella named Kendall Marvel, who I guess was a really good songwriter. And then the bro country thing started to happen in Nashville. And he'd had a lot of songs covered by the likes of George Strait and Chris Stapleton, artists like that. And then his music wasn't really getting the attention it deserved. His songs didn't. So he started making his own albums, and he's got a new one on the way on Dan Auerbach's label, which should be out as early as like middle October. So yes, he was one of the highlights. Kendall Marvel as well, and Paul Cauthen. And that was day two. By day three, I think my highlight was a gentleman named Logan Leger. He has a new album due next March. He also has a new EP, which I guess is produced by T-Bone Burnett. I saw him in East Nashville on, must have been a Thursday night. He was just incredible. Hints of Roy Orbison and people like George Jones, Dwight Yoakam. Had kind of an early 60s kind of Nashville sound. And you could hear Chris Isaak in his sound as well, kind of haunting. Really a good singer. Kind of a crooner of sorts. So yeah, he was my highlight for the third day. And I also saw a guy named Darren Bradbury. And Darren's really kind of a cool guy. It seems like he doesn't even really write songs. It seems like they just flow from his mouth, totally random. And he was really good. And he had a couple of special guests. Margot Price and her husband were there. And he was pretty great when I saw him at Americana Fest. By my last day at Americana Fest, I saw this Irish artist named Foy Vance. Think of maybe Van Morrison. And he has a new album, which he played a lot of songs from, which was produced in Memphis, Tennessee. So it had kind of an old school feel, most of his set did. And he took a little break during his set, and he brought on a special guest. He announced him. Yes, Keith Urban was in the house. And he didn't really take center stage, but he did play a really smoking guitar solo, which you could hardly see because there were so many phones up in the air when Foy Vance and Keith Urban performed at Americana Fest. Catch my show Sunday mornings 8 till 10. You'll hear many of the artists we just talked about. It's 8 till 10 Central, Sunday mornings, United States of Americana on The Current.